The Bible speaks of different directions, all the directions we know, north, south, east, west. But no direction is as important or mysterious or mystery-filled in the Bible as that of the East. The East, I looked and I saw the glory of God coming from the East. East, it's throughout the Bible. In Hebrew, one of the words for a key word is kedem. Try it. Kedem. You even see it in the song Hatikva, the national anthem of Israel. You hear the word kadima, which is eastward. We are looking eastward. Even in our thinking, even in English, east is the direction that is the most mysterious. Eastern things. The word orient means east. When you say you are orienting yourself, you means you're turning east, or you're disoriented, you're cut off from the east, or you don't know where the east is. The more you travel eastward, the more mysterious it gets for us in the West. China, India, the Orient. So in the Bible, east is above all directions, meaningful. Genesis 3, the very first direction here, Genesis 3, it says, God placed to the east in the Garden of Eden the cherubim with a flaming sword. To the east, that's where you get the thing east of Eden, eastward. Man apparently is driven eastward. Well, we can see that driven out the gate. Therefore, the cherubim are there to the east. Man goes to the east away from God. The tabernacle in the Bible, the temple, which became the temple, the tabernacle, always had to face the east. The Temple Mount on the holy of the whole temple that is there, and the Holy of Holies, all that is facing toward the east. From the Holy Holies to the holy place, east. Through the golden doors to the altar, east. Through the gate to the Mount of Olives, east. Kedem. Now there's a connection between the Garden of Eden and the Temple of Jerusalem, because the presence of God, man dwelt with God for the last time in the garden. But now the temple, based on the tabernacle, which is called the tent of meeting, is about bringing man back to God, together again, so it links back to the Garden of Eden. And remember, what was there, what is there in every compartment of the temple? What is separating? What is the barrier? And that is the veil. And what's on the veil? On the veil are images of the cherubim, which were last seen in the Garden of Eden, guarding the way back to God. So it's almost like a recreation of Eden about coming back. And the high priest, once a year, on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, he had a journey to the Holy of Holies. That journey is a journey from the east to make atonement in the west. It's east-west. The whole temple is on an east-west plane, and he has to journey from the east back to God. Now I'm giving you the word for the opposite, which is the west. So the west is mabo, that's one word of it, and that means it's the direction not of the sunrise, but of the sunset. It's the going, or that means the going down. Here's another word for the west, ma'arav. Try it. Ma'arav means the sun, can mean the sundown or the darkening or the west. Another word for, in Hebrew, linked to the west is linked to the word yam, which means the sea, because the Mediterranean Sea, if you're facing the east, in back of you is the west, and it's towards the west, which is the sea, which is the Mediterranean Sea as well. But also there's another thing, that also the word for west can mean behind you, because the idea is that you're always facing the east. But now I want you to open up to Micah 5. I want you to see something. I'm gonna open it up in the original language as you open it up, as you read it. Micah 5:2, the famous, the prophecy of Messiah, who will come, who will be born in Bethlehem. Micah 5, which says, this. Micah 5, verse 2. And it says, "But as for you, Bethlehem, though you be little among the clans of Judah, from you one will go forth for me, who is to be ruler in Israel. His goings forth are from long ago," or ancient times, "from the days of eternity. But you, Bethlehem, though you be little, one will go forth." In Hebrew, it's "one will go forth to me, who will be ruler of Israel." In Hebrew, it says his goings forth, and the word for his one will go forth, the word is yatseh, and you don't have to memorize all this, but the word and the words his goings forth, it's the same motzah. All those words are linked to the east, as if he's coming like a sunrise from the east. So you got two words in there that are linked to the east. The going forth, he will go forth, and his goings forth, or his origins, that's linked to the east. But then it goes on, it says, whose goings forth are from ancient times. Your Bible might say long ago, but the word in Hebrew is kedem, whose origins are from the kedem, are from really eternity past. And then it goes on, it says he is from the days of forever. So you got all these things linked to Messiah, all linked to the east, the origins of Messiah. Messiah is linked to the word kedem. Why? Kedem and all these words of the east have to do with Messiah. He comes from, it's as if Messiah comes to us from the sunrise, from the place of the brilliant, the shining, the glory of God. He comes from he radiates, in Hebrews he's called the radiance of God. He comes from the glory of God, from the beginning, from eternity. He comes to us. He comes, some of the words mean the source. He comes from the very source of everything. And also one of those words for east, motzah, that means the origin or the begetting, the birthing. He is called the only begotten Son. He comes from God himself, from all those things that we don't have to, there's a mystery there to try to put together. You can't put it together. He is there from forever, yet he was begotten by the Father. He comes from the word kedem means also before. He comes from the before. Whatever it is, he comes from before it. There's no beginning to God. He comes. He is because Messiah is the kedem of existence. He is the dawn. He is the sunrise. He is that which gives birth to everything else. We were created through him. It says all things came into being through him. He's the kedem. He's the source. He's the beginning. He's from the place of light, and he comes. So the east represents the direction of beginning, creation, light. But the world that we live in turned away from the light. That means it turned away from the source, turned away from God. That means it turns away from the kedem. Now, if you turn away from the kedem, what direction are you facing? You turn away from the east, where are you facing? West. You're so smart. This is always the west. So now, but what is the west in Hebrew? The west, one of the words was mabo, means the place of going down. Man in the world, turn away from God, you turn to a place of going down. It's the place of sunset. It's the place of darkening. It's the place of ending. One of the words, ma'arav, means the darkening. So there comes a darkening in the world because we're not facing God. The journey of this life is from east to west. You come from the beginning to the end. You go from life to death. That's the begin. That's the way it goes. The old life can only go from east to west. Goes from light or morning to night, sunrise, sunset. Now, in the center of the world, in the center is Israel. In the center of Israel is Jerusalem. In the center of Jerusalem is the Temple Mount. The temple, as we saw, was built after the pattern of the tent of meeting, the tabernacle, the place of man and God. And the priests who ministered in the temple, like on Yom Kippur, what was their first ministry? What was their ultimate ministry? It was to reconcile man to God. In order to do that, they had to make an end of sin. They had to deal with sin, end sin, take sin, end it. That happened the most ultimately on Yom Kippur. The high priest journeys into the Holy of Holies, but first he goes to the altar, takes the blood of the sacrifice, goes to the Holy of Holies. Now we said, what direction? What direction do you think is the direction of ending? Going to the west, the end. So what direction did the priest go to make an end of sin? To the west. All of that is to the west, because he's ending something. He's trying to make atonement and sin and shame and guilt. The priest is carrying the sins of all the people. He's bringing it to the end, because the west is linked to the sun going down. It's linked to death. It's linked to the end. It's linked to, so he's linked to sacrifice. The sacrifice is brought to God. Now, the first mention of the east, as I mentioned, was in Genesis, was in that cherubim. God's station, we saw the cherubim standing to guard the way back to God. And so we saw this was recreated in the temple on every step. The veils had images of the cherubim as if they're guarding the way back to God. But now, it's the priest goes, when you look at the fall of man, it was Adam. He falls, and then from what we see, he was driven to the east. But now, it's almost like that when the high priest comes back to God, it's almost like it's Adam coming back to the presence of God, and he's walking through the cherub. He's passing through the cherubim with the blood. He's coming back to God. Atonement. Salvation. But this is all a shadow of Messiah. In Daniel 9, the famous prophecy of the coming of Messiah, the 77s, Daniel 9:24, it says, 77s are appointed for your holy city, your people. For what? To make an end of sin. To make an end of sin. Messiah is coming first to make an end of sin, to finish something. So what direction is that journey? He is heading to the west, from east to west. So the mystery of his coming is linked to the east. Kedem, he will come from eternity. He'll come from ancient times. He will come. That's linked to the east. The sunrise coming from God's presence coming. When we speak about his birth, we see the word east. And so the Magi come from the east. So he is the sunrise, and he's coming from glory, and he's coming to us. Messiah is the sunrise of God. He's the emanation of God. But his journey, if you're journeying from the sunrise, from the east, then you're going west. That means he's journeying by coming to earth. In a sense, he's journeying away from glory. He's journeying away from godhood. It says he emptied himself. He's separating himself from the Father. First by humbling himself, by taking on human form, but ultimately in death on the cross. He journeys from light to darkness, from light to judgment on the cross. He journeys away from godhood. And he journeys away from the light, from the kedem, from where everything is new. He's heading to death. That's the direction. That's the sunset. Darkening, ma'arab, a place of darkening. He's going to come to the cross, darkening. Even when he comes to Jerusalem on that donkey, when he's looking it over, where is he looking it over from? The Mount of Olives. And he's going to come from the Mount of Olives down to Jerusalem. Where's the Mount of Olives? Where it's east of Jerusalem. So what is his journey? Palm Sunday, he's going west. He's going from the eastern mountain to the city, which is west. He's journeying because they thought he's coming to reign and take the throne, but he was journeying, he's going west, he's journeying to the sunset, he's journeying to die. His last journey to his death. Where did it begin? It begins in the Garden of Gethsemane. It says they went after Passover, they went on the Mount of Olives. And he's taken from the Garden of Gethsemane. Where's the Garden of Gethsemane? On the Mount of Olives, east. And then he is arrested and taken to the high priest's house, which is where? It's west. He goes to west, he's heading to judgment, he's heading to the end. When you look at the Via Dolorosa, we don't know that's the exact spot, but it goes from east to west, same thing. When they take him to Golgotha, if they're taking him from the Mount of Olives to Golgotha, that's east to west. And he's crucified in the Ma'arav, the east or the western place from the Mount of Olives. The direction of going down, but it's not just the place. What time is he crucified? He's crucified in the morning. He dies in the late afternoon or mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock, which is the time when the sun is going down. The Ma'arav, the sun is going down, the west. The sun rises and then sets. And actually, even on the cross, interesting, because when he was crucified, it was 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours before noon, 3 hours after noon. What does that mean? It began when the sun was rising for 3 hours exactly, and it ends as the sun is setting for 3 hours. East to west. Even when he's not moving, it's the east to the west. And every day in the temple, there was a sacrifice that finished all sacrifices of the day. It was the sacrifice. It was the final sacrifice. And it was linked to the sunset. It was called the Ma'arav, or the evening sacrifice, or the sunset sacrifice, or the western sacrifice. It was the sacrifice of going down, of departing. When did they offer up the evening offering? They offered it up at the 6th hour, which is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the very time Messiah dies. Messiah died at the 6th hour, or 3 in the afternoon, the hour of the evening sacrifice, or the western sacrifice, the sunset sacrifice, at the very time when the priests are offering up the final sacrifice. So Messiah dies on Calvary as the evening sacrifice is offered. Sunset, the time of the going down of the sun, in the direction of the end, at the time of the end, at the sacrifice of the end. He comes to make an end of sin as he descends to the earth. The night's coming. That day and that week is now it's ending with that sunset. It is the Sabbath. And so they take down his body. They bury him in order to bury him before sunset. And they without realizing it, they're thinking about the Sabbath, but they're linking his death to the sunset. He's got to get in the tomb before the sun sets. But it's amazing, because who is he? He's the light of the world. When the light of the world descends to the earth, it's sunset. He is the sunset. He is the sunrise, but when he dies on the cross, he becomes the sunset. The light that brought you into existence, now goes down. That means he brings the old out of existence. You understand? The same one who causes things to begin, life to begin, is the same one who causes the old life to end. Sin to end. The old you to end. It's a journey. He's the what? He goes from the east. He is the beginning and the end. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the Kedem and the Ma'arav. He's the cornerstone and the capstone. And so it's all finished when he's done. It's finished. And at the moment when it's finished, what happens in the temple? The veil is torn in two. And that means there were cherubim on each side of that. The cherubim are torn apart. Some go this way, some go that way. What is that a sign of? It's a sign of that the barrier that God placed in Eden, the cherubim, Messiah, they had to be torn apart because Messiah was passing through. It is the sunset sacrifice. The sun sets over Jerusalem. The day is over. The week is over. The old age is over. The old life is over. And in the Ma'arav, the going down of the light of the world, it means the sun has set on your past, on your guilt, my guilt, your failure. The sun is set. On your shame, it's over, is what it's saying. The day, it means when the sun sets, when the light of the world goes down, the day is over. It means the day of sin is over. The day of fear is over. The day of shame and guilt and anger is over. And since that day is over, we are not to be living in a day that's already passed. You cannot live in what is already passed. That's why the Bible has these amazing verses in it, in the New Testament, which says, how can you live in that anymore? It's all finished. How can you live in it? It's done. The old you is done. Don't live in it anymore. That old way is done. The sun is set. It's over. You can't live in yesterday. You're today. And one final mystery. The old covenant, the priests are always going from east to west to get rid of that sin, to end that sin. And that place of going down, the sunset place, the direction of the west. The priests would only journey that way. But think about it, to finish sin and sin, they'd go from east to west. But what happens when they finish making an end of sin? What happens when atonement is made? They turn around and they go from west to east. They leave. They go from inside the Holy of Holies and they come out. They come out. And now they are not heading to the sunset. They're heading to the direction of the sunrise. They're turning from the direction of the sunset to the direction of the sunrise, Kedem. In other words, the Old Testament was all leading to the sunset, but once it's fulfilled, once it's a shadow, once the atonement's going to come through Messiah, the direction we're not heading to the end anymore. We're heading to the beginning. We're facing the dawn now. You understand? Once the old is finished, you are now not to be dwelling on the old, you're dwelling on the new. You're dwelling on the direction of the new covenant. That's the Kedem covenant. The dawn. You're looking now not to yourself, you're looking to God about the newness. You're looking at all the blessings, because it's no accident that the death of Messiah is linked to the sunset. When you read all the accounts, it's linked to the Sabbath coming, the sun is going down. But when you read about the resurrection, the link there in every account in the Greek, there is a link to the words sunrise, the dawn, early that morning, sunrise. Why? Because once he brings the end, he brings a new beginning. Resurrection. What is the resurrection? It's the resurrection. It's like a sunrise coming in the world. It's like a sunrise coming in your life. It's grace, forgiveness, love. It's life where there was death. It's a new beginning, a new day. That's why he rose on Sunday, or the first day of the week, because it's a new beginning. It's a sunrise. It's the beginning again. And only the one, he who was the beginning became the end, so he can become a new beginning. That's why we are born again. Through him who was the beginning to begin with. He was the beginning to begin with, but then that fell, so he ended it, and now he brings a new sunrise, a new beginning, and we call it born again. That's why to be born again, you're supposed to be living in a continual sunrise, A new beginning, not just once, but every day. Lord, I want to be new every day. We're to be renewed every day. Living in a dawn as if every day is the first day. Therefore, the Bible says, be done with the old, God says. Be done with it. Be done with your old. Be done with the old of the people around you. Stop dwelling on the old. You're looking in the wrong direction. You're looking west. And turn to the new. Forget about what they did to you. Forget about what you look at the sunrise. Look at the new day. Because if anyone is in Messiah, he, she is a new creation. You are a new creation if you live in it. The old has passed away, and it says, behold, new has come. There is no old for us anymore. Stop dwelling on it and stop dwelling in it. If you're dwelling on it, you're going to dwell in it. The sun has set on it. That's Good Friday. Set. Stop dwelling on what is dead. And that's why the Lord says, why are you looking for the living among, the angels say, why are you looking for the living one among the dead? Why are you looking at what's old when what's new is where God is at? There is now a sunrise on your life. God has given its real, a new hope, the power of new beginnings, of making everything new every moment. A new chance, a new day, a new dawn, a new you in which there is no old. Behold, all things have passed away, everything's new. Walk in the new. Live in the new, talk in the new, think in the new, go in the new, break through in the new. Walk in it, in the light of the shining of the dawn, of the sunrise of the new day. And it will be a new day for you. You can have a new day every day. Because he has removed, taken away, made disappear your sins, your past, your shame, your everything that's old. He has done it as far as the east is from